For the Inland Empire, the outdoors isn't something we drive hours to find. It's right in our backyard. From the trails in Idyllwild, the lakes in Big Bear, to the hills and valleys just beyond our cities, these spaces shape how we live, how we explore, and how we build community. This week, we're exploring the outdoors and the places, people, and creatures that make these spaces so unique to the Inland Empire. Welcome to Weekly Update. I'm Aaron Russell. As temperatures rise, so does the activity from some of the wildlife we share these spaces with, especially snakes. There's been an increase in snake bites across Southern California in recent months, with the U.S. Forest Service and San Bernardino National Forest issuing a warning for residents to stay alert and be aware of your surroundings when exploring outdoors. To talk more about this, I'm joined by Connor Wilson, the event manager for Animal Friends of the Valleys. Connor, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's wonderful to have you. For the people that might not know, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name's Connor. I'm the event manager at Animal Friends of the Valleys, and we are a nonprofit organization that runs the animal shelter and animal control in the entire Temecula Valley.
What has this year kind of shown for snakes in the area? What has been going on as far as bites with the community?
Yeah, well, I mean, thankfully, bites, and especially rattlesnake bites, which is the thing to worry about, isn't something that, that is a rare occurrence, definitely. But in the area, I mean, we definitely have a lot of homes that back up against rural areas and that kind of thing. So it's always a concern in this whole area to look out for rattlesnakes.
As far as poisonous snakes go, have there been a lot of poisonous snakes out this time of year, or is it mostly just rattlesnakes? Give me a little bit of insight into that.
Yeah, so basically the brief rundown is that in this area we have rattlesnakes. That is the one venomous snake we have in the area to worry about. We've got three different species of rattlesnake here, but that's the one to look out for, and we have them. We have them in this area, definitely.
Yeah. And if somebody at home maybe were to get bitten by one of these snakes, what would you say is the steps that they need to take in that moment? Yeah,
so I mean, if you're bit by a snake at all, the one thing that definitely call 911. First things first, call 911, have that happening right away. But also from the animal control perspective, if you can, get a picture of the snake that bit you. If you can keep eyes on it or have somebody keep eyes on it, and call 911 right away, of course.
Absolutely. And that's kind of, worst case scenario is actually getting bitten by the snake. But in terms of doing what we can to avoid that happening, are there any preventative measures that the average viewer could take to avoid getting into that situation in the first place?
Yeah, definitely. A big one is rodent control. If you can, because where there's rodents, that's where you're going to have snakes. So definitely trying to minimize that, and also just places to hide, like on your property, in your yard. You've got piles of wood and that kind of thing where, if there's rats or mice there, that's where snakes want to be. So minimizing that, definitely. There's other things you can do as far as, different things you can do. And obviously you can look that up and see what would work best for your particular place. If you've got a big property or you're a residential home that backs up against some hills, it depends on where you live, definitely.
Yeah. And as far as the people in the Inland Empire that provide services for things like bites, sightings, or even conservation, are there any names or organizations that kind of stick out as people that we might want to be aware of?
Yeah, definitely. So, for this area, Animal Friends of the Valleys is the animal control in this area, and they are the ones to call. So you can find that information, go on AFV.org. You can go to animal control there, animal control in your area, and they are the ones to make that call. If you are worried about a snake that you have on your property, or you've seen snakes and you want more information on that, if you see a snake and you're not sure if it's a rattlesnake or something like that, definitely call 911, and they get those calls all the time. So they will come out, identify it and all of that, and that's available to all the cities here.
Absolutely. With what we have experienced so far this year, what is the landscape looking like as far as bites and sightings that the average person might need to be aware of?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that is kind of a new development is all of the new developments. So we've got a lot of new housing developments going up. We've got a lot of them that back up against hills and that kind of thing where, especially in a new area, it's like this could have been the snake's territory and now you just suddenly appeared in their territory.
Yeah.
So definitely with those new developments and everything, we could see a little bit more. But honestly, in this area too, we have a lot of snakes in this area, so it happens all the time. Animal control responded to over 10,000 calls last year, and a lot of those are snakes. Snakes in different, whether it's somebody who's worried about a snake that they have on their property and they don't know if it's a rattlesnake and that kind of thing. So
I think we sort of glanced right past it, but we actually have a guest here in the studio, aside from Connor. It's our little friend here.
So yeah, I brought this.
Address the snake in the room, exactly.
So this right here, this is a funny story with this, is actually something that came from an animal control call where someone said, oh my gosh, I have a snake on my property. What is this? And animal control came out to the property and found this little guy here on the property, which is not a real snake, it's a rubber snake. But that is one where I could definitely forgive that mistake, because that definitely looks like a snake. So yeah, but that's what animal control does, is even with gopher snakes and all of that, is that they can come on scene, they can come and say, hey, this is what this is what's going on. So
yeah. And as far as just sort of educating the public as far as rattlesnakes go, I know that there is a popular misconception that maybe the tail is something to be worried about. Is there any legitimacy to that claim, or?
Yeah, and that's the thing with the rattlesnakes, is that you wouldn't want to necessarily go off of the rattle itself if they're young and things like that. I mean, who knows, maybe they wouldn't even have an obvious rattle on their tail. And that's not the dangerous end. Obviously the bite end is the dangerous end. Yeah. But definitely in all cases, keep a safe distance, and if you can keep an eye on it, great. If you could take a picture, even better.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Connor, thank you so much for coming on and helping educate our audience a little bit on where snakes are within the region and maybe some things to do to prevent issues in the future. It was genuinely a pleasure.
Hey, it was our pleasure. Thank you very much for having us out.
It's all a part of learning how to respect the environment we're in. And for a lot of people, that connection goes beyond safety. It's about why they're out there in the first place. Places like Idyllwild don't just draw locals, they bring people from all over the world, each with their own reason for being on the trail. Our crew caught up with some of the hikers on their journey through the Pacific Crest Trail, a premier 2,650-mile trail from Mexico to Canada, with a stop right here in our backyard.
Hi, I'm Niles Trigg. I'm from Seattle, Washington.
I'm Jack Weber. I'm from Denver, Colorado.
I think there's so much beautiful outdoors here in the U.S. And I think, society these days is very stressful to people. And I think being able to get outdoors and appreciate nature, find some peace and serenity is really, really valuable, really healthy way to manage stress and everything going on.
Completely agree. It's super nice to slow down. It's helps you appreciate things out here. You get to see so much also that you would never see in your day-to-day life. Also challenge yourself. Like, this is definitely the hardest thing that I've ever done, and it's scary, but you got to go out there and go do it.
It's right. Yeah, so that's good.
I'm Tal. I'm from the Netherlands.
I'm Chris. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio.
How the hike has been so far, it's been great. There have been some challenging nights. It's been cold, it's been stormy, but during the day, the beautiful views just make up everything, basically.
Yeah, it turns out it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and there are 60-mile-an-hour winds, but every day is beautiful in its own way, hiking through different climates at different elevations. The variety that you get in the first 150 miles is stunning.
I'm Bronwyn Neal. I'm from New Zealand, and I'm through hiking the PCT this year. The most challenging thing for me has been the weight of my pack and also seeing everyone else with these tiny little packs and wondering what I'm doing wrong. People who want to get out into the outdoors, I'd say just do it. Everyone has to start somewhere, and it's just the most incredible experience you'll ever have.
For this week's City Minute, we'll stay in Idyllwild. If you spend enough time in Idyllwild, you'll start to realize it's not just a destination. It's a community with its own character, vibrant local artists, and a very unique mayor.
My name is Phyllis Mueller, and I'm the Chief of Staff for the Mayor of Idyllwild. The Mayor of Idyllwild is a golden retriever. This is Mayor Max III. He is turning 4. It's our local animal rescue, which is called Idyllwild Animal Rescue Friends, decided back in 2012 that it would be fun to have a mayor in Idyllwild. And because we're a small, unincorporated town, we don't have a mayor or local politicians. Our politicians are at the county level in Riverside, California. And we just do kind and loving things. It's a nonpartisan, non-political mayoral office, but we do a lot of good for the community in every way. He works every day, and there are just thousands of things that we do. There is no tax basis for a mayor's office. It's funded by my husband and myself, and everybody thinks we're retired, but we are not. The way we fund Mayor Max is from the income from our regular jobs. So my husband and I now have 2 regular jobs. Mayor Max is a full-time job, and our regular jobs are full-time jobs. And just paying for gas can be challenging. He comes out several times a day, often, and he does. So that means he's doing at least 365 daily events, minimum. But sometimes he's out 2, 3, 4 times a day. He also does hundreds of private visits, and that can be in Idyllwild and can also be anywhere in Southern California. So when you come to Idyllwild, you can actually see Max every day. We never say no to a visit. If you would like to see Mayor Max at a private event in Idyllwild or anywhere in Southern California, just call or contact us via our website, www.mayormax.com, mayormax.com, or you can call me, Phyllis, the Chief of Staff, at 949-525-0100, and he does every kind of event you can conceive of. We'd love to see you. Please come to Idyllwild. This is Phyllis Mueller, the Chief of Staff for Mayor Max of Idyllwild, California, and you're watching.
I'm Christy. I'm the owner of A Piece of Idyllwild. Well, this was an existing store, and I used to come up with my husband and visit. We were tourists. We would come up from the city to get away from the hubbub. And I found the store. This was one of my favorite stores. And when it went for sale, I said I just had to go for it. And so in mid-2023 is when I purchased the store. This store is very special in that it represents a lot of artists in the community, actually on the hill and off the hill. I have a couple dozen artists with their work in here, everything from woodwork, chainsaw work, paintings, stickers. There's just so much different art in here, and it really makes it special that I can give the artists in this town a place to showcase their work. One of my favorite things about the store is when people come in and they say, oh my gosh, there's so much great stuff in this store. I love your store. And that they get to take a piece of Idyllwild home with them. So you could support Idyllwild by just coming up and visiting, exploring, checking out Humber Park. Right now we have the PCT hikers, which are so much fun. They're coming from all over the place, and they just, they walk around town, and it's so fun to meet them. They're coming from all over. There's rock climbing. There's so many different restaurants, so many different shops, and also just to come out and just listen to the music and have a drink, or whatever, is fun for you. I'm sure you can find it in Idyllwild. I'm Christy Bogus from A Piece of Idyllwild, and you are watching ieNOW.
Looking for something to do outdoors? Here's a look at what's coming up throughout the Inland Empire. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Estelle. I work at the Nomad Ventures in Idyllwild. This Saturday, we're having a trail fest where we have a lot of different brands that we support and sell at our own store. The event benefits a lot of hikers, runner, really any kind of outdoor sport that you're into. So we'll be out there from 10 to 4 at the town hall.
the outdoors can also be unpredictable, and every year hikers go missing in the mountains throughout the Inland Empire. Nomad Ventures, an outdoor equipment store in the region, is hosting the 3rd annual Idyllwild Trail Festival, which raises money for the Riverside Mountain Rescue Unit and the Fowler O'Sullivan Foundation, 2 volunteer organizations who step in to help.
So our foundation is twofold. We search for missing hikers. We are search and recovery, and we also do a lot with hiker education. My name is Kathy Tarr. I'm the founder and executive director of the Fowler O'Sullivan Foundation. I was going to hike the Pacific Crest Trail in 2017. 2 weeks before my start date, I was in a car accident and it broke my sternum. So I knew that idea was done. So I started traveling across the US and I ended up in the state of Washington for a Pacific Crest Trail hiker named Chris Fowler, who had gone missing from White Pass in 2016. And then while I was up there, interesting enough, there was a flyer for another missing hiker in the Santa Ana Mountains here in Idyllwild named David O'Sullivan. And that's really where I came up with the name, the Fowler O'Sullivan Foundation. Our mission is to be there for families when search and rescue is called off and they have not found that missing hiker. Search and rescue are amazing people that go in and help these people. No matter the time of day, the weather, or anything, they will help a hiker in need. So, but sometimes they don't find that hiker. And so that's where they go to the family and say, we're sorry, we can't search anymore. And then what does the family do? So there's no manual to say, well, this is what you do next. And so sometimes they'll Google, missing hiker or whatever, and they'll find us. If we do take the case, we are very much in contact with the family at all times. What are we doing? What's our plan? Sometimes the family lives far away, and we'll actually bring the family in for the search effort, not to search, but to be there to thank volunteers and be closer to the person who, we're looking for. Another case here was John Sturkey in the Santa Ana Mountains, where we did not find him directly, but we found enough clues for the sheriff to send search and rescue back. And that's all we have to do. So search and rescue did come back out and they did find him. That's the end result. We don't care who finds the person, but if we can find the right area and find clues, then we'll certainly give it to search and rescue and let them come in and find the person. So we're not here to compete with anyone. We're just here for the families. So once search and rescue is called off, then they're not even allowed to search anymore according to, their laws and stuff with the sheriff. So, but we can come in and we can search as many times as we want. Our motto is because every hiker deserves to come home. So that's what we try to do. We try to help them be educated, help search and rescue find them faster. But if not, well, then we're there for the family. Riverside Mountain Rescue Unit here in Riverside County gets called out often, because of the mountains in the area. Plus we have cities nearby. So sometimes people come and they don't quite know what they're getting into. And anyone can get hurt. You can be a very highly skilled hiker and you've been hiking all your life, and that doesn't mean you can't get hurt or injured. You can trip on a rock and fall. So many things can happen. So search and rescue, that's what they're there for. They're there to help you and bring you home.
Across the Inland Empire, these stories point to a shared reality. The natural spaces we all explore, the wildlife that requires our awareness, the communities built around these areas, and the organizations that respond when something goes wrong. We want to hear your voices too. Head over to our Instagram and find the post related to this week's theme. Leave a comment and let us know how you experience the outdoors. I'm Aaron Russell. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.